Quashen, along with my co-host, Michael Duarte. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Cary. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Michael, Families in Action is brought to you by your local hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, and we've been on the air over 13 years.
It's over 13 years now.
And there's really no excuse not to listen or watch us, are there?
I wouldn't think so, because they can catch the podcast. All you have to do is come on the KHTS website. That's easy.
That's easy.
And you can catch us on YouTube.
On YouTube.
And we're on the local cable.
That's right. I know on Time Warner we're on every Monday at 4 p.m. on Channel 20. And the other ones you'd have to check with your
way they can see what you look like and they can find out why you call me the Silver Fox.
The Silver Fox, exactly.
It has nothing to do with my bank account. It has everything to do with my hair.
I'm going to leave. I'm not even going to go there. I'll leave it out of it. How's that? I'm not going to talk about it. But and also we're brought to you by Action Family Counseling, which is full treatment when it comes to chemical dependency and alcoholism, from outpatient to residential treatment and everything in between.
I understand that's run by some guy named Cary Quashen.
I don't know. It's the rumor.
It's the rumor.
I hear he's a pretty good guy. What do you think?
That's what I heard.
I hope so.
But but you can't take things like that.
Not all rumors are true.
You can't take things on face value.
I got it. Dilyse over there. She's going, yep. and also by Action Family Foundation. I'll let you talk about that.
Well, every time you bring this up, I say the same thing, and I'm still waiting for it. I want to see the day when it rolls out of there. But one of the things that the Action Foundation has that is so exciting is the moving memorial, the experience.
Right, and that's ready to come out. So I'm not going to really talk too much about it, except for it is a moving memorial, is what it is, and a lot of people are commenting on it sitting in front of Action over on Soledad. It's but we'll leave it alone until it's out. And
it looks like you've formed a rock band called the Action Experience, and you're going to go around on tour.
I wish that's what it was, and we are going to go on tour with it, but it's for another cause. It's one of the new tools that we have in our toolbox to fight against substance abuse. So it's a memorial with respect to people who've lost their lives to that. And the reason is, we were talking before we came on in here today about the heroin and the opiate explosion, and you have some stuff here. But before, I want to talk about that. So why don't we go ahead and introduce our guest? She's absolutely one of our favorites. We have her on many times, and I'll let you do the introductions.
Well, I'm going to talk to you all about her credentials. We're talking about Dilyse Diaz. Hello, Diaz.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you. Did you know that she's a success coach, a transitional teacher, and a licensed psychotherapist?
I was going to do all that, but you just did it. Okay, go on. I'll just play it.
She's been doing that for 16 years here in Valencia.
I know she has.
She's an author.
Yep.
She's an inventor of a fun game called Inside Out, which I understand you've played.
I did.
Did you win or lose, or is there such a thing?
I'm not talking about it.
Oh, okay. You're not talking about it. Well, that tells me everything I need to know.
I'm going to let Dilyse talk about it.
She's the creator of a life-changing online course on dailydiaz.com called Find Happy. 90 ways in 90 days, and the best way to introduce her is to say, why 90 days?
Well, thank you again for having me. 90 days is a key number because everybody in recovery world, they know that 90 days is the minimum amount of time it takes to form a new habit, a new groove in your brain. People say 21, but it's actually 90 days. So the online course, Find Happy, is really to walk people, to hold their hand every day, giving them some tools and guiding them through new ways to create new habits in their life that will really stick instead of these resolutions that we're going to sort of talk about today.
I should repeat that title one more time because you have to listen to it. So we want our listeners to hear what this is. Find Happy, 90 ways in 90 days.
Excellent. That's exactly it.
So in 90 days, I can find happy?
Absolutely. It's how to get control over your mind and your moods. So it's really a course for everybody. Even if you're already happy, it's taking life to the next level.
Sounds like a course you should be offering there in your recovery.
Everybody should take it, because we really do need to at times retrain our brain. And in order to hardwire our brain differently and get rid of some of those negative thoughts, it takes 90 days.
And it takes the right tools. That's what I'm going to be offering as a licensed psychotherapist. That's what I can offer that's a bit different than some of the things that we see out there.
Right. No, very, very cool. Let's go backwards for a minute. Why don't you talk about that, what we were talking about earlier? Let's just briefly touch over it.
We have something from the action file here, Cary, and this came to my attention last week.
It's come to everyone's attention.
8 people have died from a lethal strain of heroin. Now, this was in Massachusetts. It wasn't in California, but it was branded Hollywood. And they don't know exactly why. They're not sure if that's where it came from, but it was tainted. Right. Now, stop. My question to you is, Cary, when people take this stuff, they don't know what they're getting, really.
You know what? We're having an explosion, and Dilyse, feel free to jump in anytime you want, but we're having an explosion right now, an epidemic when it comes to opiates. And I'm talking heroin, opiates, meaning Vicodin, codeine, oxy, whatever it is. And yeah, Massachusetts is right now screaming because they're losing so many people right now to this drug. And in fact, they're making many changes there to try to save lives.
Yeah, and just to interject here, so we know what we're looking at, in Massachusetts, the Department of Health said there is a 63% increase in opiate-related deaths from 2012 to 2014.
That's so insane, isn't it?
It's absolutely insane. And part of the problem here, and what I'm really here to offer, is how we can do it differently with families, how we can get involved and really make a difference in these lives, so we don't have to read about these tragedies every day.
Well, we're nationally at an all-time high with this.
Well, you're talking almost 50,000 people lose their lives. Oh, almost 50,000 people lose their lives when it comes to this addiction of just overdosing. We're not now talking about car crashes and suicide and all the other craziness that comes with substance abuse. We're just talking overdoses. Now, almost 50,000.
Here's another thing to consider with this. This is just wacky. This is now the leading cause of unintentional deaths in Americans. Oh, my
The leading cause. And there's so many reasons. I mean, we can go on and on and on. I'm just going to mention one is I really want to go on the attack right now. And I'm talking maybe even nationally when it comes to treatment, because people have benefits and insurance and stuff like that. They're not allowed to use it. So I'm going to really start, I really want to go on a mission and start attacking the insurance companies and the business like that. So that's one reason. The other thing is what you said is so super important, is families need to get involved. We're never going to take drugs away. They've been here since the beginning of time. If you watch the Indians and cowboys and people sit down and smoke the totem pipe or whatever it is, that's opium. So it's been on forever. So we're never going to get rid of drugs. So what we have to do is what? We have to change
our lives.
Change our lives.
Change our lives. Change our habits.
And what you're talking about, 90 days and 90 days, that's wonderful and that's going to help. But we need to and I want to spend a lot of time talking about that, but we need to start talking to our children when they're young, because all drug abuse starts innocently. And unfortunately, as we're seeing, ends in major tragic situations nowadays.
And what I've seen too, Cary, is that when people say they are clean and sober for a year and then they decide to go back and they take that one hit, and what happens is their body doesn't know the difference of, it's consuming so much. That's when there's a lot of deaths, is that relapse period of time.
Right. Really Unfortunately, we're almost having to change the way we do treatment now.
Right.
Because so many, it's always been, we don't want you to drink, we don't want you to use forever. It still is that. If you're not drinking and you're not using, you're not going to have those issues. But we know that so many people relapse. And what happens is, like you said, when we stop using drugs, when we're using drugs consistently, we build up a tolerance. We need more drugs to get high. When we stop using drugs for a while, physically, we lose that. But our mind's still the same. So when people start using again, they go right back to where they were, and bang, they're in big trouble.
Yep.
So now we're almost having to teach people how, if you use again, which it really bothers me, but it's just part of what we have to do to try to save lives.
Well, my job is to help prevent all of that and to help families come up with ways, strategies, tools, and skills to connect with their kids and do things differently so we don't have these tragedies.
Here's an issue that I have, and you can shed a little bit of light to this. I've been screaming about this for years. The average family spends between 2 and 10 minutes with their kids today, 12 and up.
Oh, that drives me crazy.
2 to 10 minutes. That means their kids are on all these social media sites. So they're spending 2 to 10 minutes with us. They go to school for 8 hours. They come home. They're right back in their room, either with their buddies or social media. Dilyse?
I want to challenge everyone listening. If you're listening here, I want you to really observe how much time you spend face to face with your children or with your child during the day. I want you to do that. I want you to just, when they get home today, I want you to really just keep track of how much eye-to-eye contact that you have where you're actually interacting, talking, and you know what? Listening. More listening, less
Not lecturing?
talking. Not lecturing, please. Listening. Ask them, we get so distant from what's going on in their lives that we don't have the trust from them to really have them open up to us. And so really building that time little by little every day, but really do it today. Go home, pay attention, and make note. How much time did I spend quality time did I spend with my child today? I've done that before, and it astonishes me too. And so I make that intentional effort every day to look at my children. I have 4 of them, single mom of 4 kids.
That's one thing I forgot to mention.
You collect them, that's why.
Yeah, I know.
She's a busy lady.
She's a busy lady.
I want to mention something. What you said earlier, you said trust.
Yes.
Boy, it's hard to have trust with somebody that's almost a stranger to you. I mean, there you are in your own home.
That's exactly
and you're
it.
not communicating. You don't really know each other.
Right.
And by the way, I challenge that too. If you think, well, I know my kid, how? If you're spending just 10 minutes or 5 minutes or even 15 a day, how do you know your kid?
You know what, Cary? I bet you that a lot of the listeners right now are thinking, guilt and shame. I don't know my kid. And they know that. And so I think what we need to do is offer a few ideas that they can put into practice, even starting today.
Let's do it.
All right. Even though it's off the topic of our resolutions, but
we'll come back to that. We got time to do both.
This is part of it, though. This is part of it because I'm sure people say instead of, what are you going to do differently this year?
Right.
I'm sure one of those things on their list would be to connect more with my children and to have a better relationship. So this will go right in alignment with that.
It will, and I'll tell you, I mean, it used to be, I work a lot. And when my kids were growing up, I worked a lot. And even when I was like, if I was on a plane or if I was out at night doing something, I always wanted to be at home with the kids. So I always would say, I'm going to do more stuff, and it's kind of one of those things. We all feel it. We all know we need to do it. It's the actions now.
So here's one idea that everybody can put into practice today, tomorrow, or the next day. They can go and say to their child, let's you and I go out to dinner tonight, restaurant of your choice, and really make it their choice. And when you're out with them, you can ask them questions that are maybe about their friends, about the things they love to do, or the hobbies they're engaged in currently. You can ask them questions about that and listen. The main thing I really want to highlight right here is that when kids open up a little bit, that takes a lot of trust to open up a little bit. And what happens is the parent jumps in and they start giving advice and they start shutting down the conversation. And that's it. It won't
Cary
happen
and I have
anymore.
never done that.
Me neither. Yeah, right. We all need that practice, myself included, of just being curious and listening and asking interesting questions that they want to engage in. Not things about us, but things about them.
And it is awful hard because when they start telling us stuff, we want to jump in and we want to give advice. And really, when they're talking, that's a time for us to listen.
And facial expressions, by the way, it's still talking. it's probably more loudly speaking than the words. Okay, so pay attention to have that neutral game face in a sense of acting like you're not mortified by what they're telling you.
But that is something that they could do right away. They could just take their child out.
Away from the house.
And if it's, and you know what, I hear from a lot of parents, I can't talk to my kid. We're uncomfortable when we're alone. So if it's one of those kind of things where when you're really uncomfortable sitting down for a restaurant, I suggest to everybody, but if you can't do that, if that's just too much for you, how about yogurt?
Yogurt, exactly.
Keep it simple.
Yep.
But start somewhere is what we're saying.
Get an ice cream cone. Get something. Yeah. Go out.
Yeah. Driving and getting an ice cream cone, even to the ice cream parlor. You talk.
Do you know why I created Inside Out?
Tell us.
I created it so that people wouldn't have to think of conversation starters. There's 180 different questions in there. And by the way, it's an 18 and over game because there's some mature content. It's not really explicit or anything like that, but it is mature content. So I'd say like 13 and over is okay, but I put 18 and over to be conservative. But it's questions, and it's ways to start conversations that you would never ever have thought about, and they're fun. I do it with my kids all the time.
How many questions are there?
180.
So if you get to 185, you're in trouble.
Sure. Yeah, I was just thinking we can ask her, but that's a lot of that one. We might need more than an hour of a radio show for this one. What do you think? This might take a couple shows. No, but really spend time with your kids.
Yep.
I mean, you got to start somewhere. We want to beat these numbers down. In order to beat these numbers down, the police can go out and they can arrest all the drug dealers. There'll be more tomorrow. So really, where it's going to start at home with you guys, with us.
Yes.
And that's the good and the bad. The good is, hey, we can make a change. The bad is, we got to make the time for it.
Well, we need to invest in ourselves, because when we don't invest in ourselves, then we don't have anything left to give. We're depleted, exhausted. And one of the tips on my top 16 of 16 list, which we can talk about in a second, is self-care. And a lot of people think, oh no, self-care is selfish. And I say, oh, no, that's the opposite. It's selfish not to do self-care. Because if you don't nurture yourself, you don't take care of yourself, you don't do things to refuel you, then you're not going to have anything to give to your kids or to your family or to your coworkers. You're going to be just drained.
I really want to go. I want to talk about that right now. That's the 16 deal. I really think that's important. I'll tell you why. In every group that I run, in everything that I do, I'm always saying the same thing. You got to take care of yourself first.
Yes.
If you're not okay, how are you going to give to somebody else?
Yes. On my website, which you said dailydiaz.com, it's Daily Dilyse. That's my first name.
Daily Dilyse.
That's okay.
No, I didn't. You just heard it wrong. I said it right.
Okay, I'll
say it again, Mike.
Whatever makes you feel good.
DailyDilyse.com. If that's wrong, then it's somebody else's fault because the producer wrote this.
That's funny.
Do you hear that, Stephanie?
Oh dear. No. She's so awesome. Okay,
I know she is.
So what it is, I basically have posted for free for everyone 16 of the top proven solutions to find happy in 2016. So 16 things you can implement into your daily life in order to have basically a better life. So they can look it up, and I'm putting one out a week.
Throw some out.
Yeah, you can't leave us hanging.
Throw some out.
Well, solution number one is give your heart away. Be love, get love. And it's basically learning how to be loving no matter what kinds of circumstances are going on around you. And I teach people how to do that. So
you started off with a tough one, because what happens when people get in a spot, they pull back.
They shut down.
So now you're saying, whoa, let's start off with just opening up.
Opening up. That's right. Being, and I teach people how to do that basically with their mindset, how to not take things personally. That's the number one thing. We take on other people's attitudes, which, by the way, is never personal to us. Their issues are about them. And what we do is we interact with somebody, maybe they're in a bad mood, and what do? Become, get in a bad mood. But I'm saying, no, let's not do that. Let's not take it on.
And you're so right. It's so easy for us to take things that aren't really personal.
Well, it's not.
It's the other person's stuff.
It's what they're dealing with or not dealing with, and we need to know that. So that way, what we can do is, if we don't take it personally, instead of being angry back if they're being rude to us, what we can do is say, it seems like you're having a hard time. How can I be helpful? How can I support you? And watch how the icicles melt.
Right. Well, there you go, and see where the dust settles. On that note, this is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We'll be right back with Dilyse Diaz.